Hey guys, welcome to Thanks I Had a Podcast. Our guest today is Chris Cvetkovich of New on Capitol Hill. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm kind of sleepy and it's kind of cold and I feel like
that's why you're
I kind of want to just like wear a blanket and not socialize. How about you, Jeff? How you doing?
I'm doing very well. I just got back from my little 2-day vacation in Snoqualmie. And then I came back and rearranged my studio feverishly, like we were just talking about. So now it's opposite now.
So now you're lit and we can see you.
Now I'm lit, yeah.
Yeah.
It's lit.
What were you doing in Snohomish?
Snoqualmie. We were celebrating my birthday a little bit early. Okay. It's on Wednesday, but this was just the couple days that Dusty and I both had off work, and we love to go to the casino. We love to play craps and just generally do casino things. But they just opened the hotel there. So the hotel is like brand new. I don't know like when it actually opened, but it was really beautiful. So I'm very like zenned out. They had a hot tub there that we utilized a lot more than I think most of the other hotel guests utilize it. Cool. And I ate way too much food in the last like 24 hours, so I'm riding high.
I bet we get to hear about it.
That'd be a good bet.
I hope so. Happy birthday. How many you got?
This will be my 37th birthday.
Wow, you're up there.
Which is also my lucky number. I hesitate to say that because some people believe in like jinxing it or whatever, but I think that I'm just going to decide that the next year is a lucky year. I think.
Did you play that at the casino?
Yeah, so the lucky year is not off to a great start.
Because it didn't win.
Yeah, the roulette table did not hit on 3 or 11, and it also doesn't go up to 37, so it didn't hit on.
It doesn't go up to 37.
Maybe 16 equals like 16 plus 11 is 37. No, that didn't. But we made up for it on the craps table, so everything's fine.
That sounds like a good party. Are you celebrating your birthday all week like I tend to?
No, I think I'm just like going back to work.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited for it to be spring. I feel like that's always a nice part about my birthday is that we kind of seem to be coming out of winter at exactly the same time that I'm ready to like be optimistic about another year of life. So that coincides well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Glad to hear it. Meg? Oh, I'm all right. I'm just feeling tired. We finally finished cleaning out mother-in-law's house. Got a bunch of cool furniture. That part's cool. I'm glad we're done. We went and drank too much at Top of Tacoma, and I was drinking Opal. Got a little hungover while I was carrying heavy furniture, but that's all right. Just glad to be done and to get back to my regular projects. Yeah.
Do you have any interesting tidbits from the Mormon services that you attended earlier this week? Because I know that we talked about that with Holly. There was a lot of intrigue.
Yeah. I accidentally befriended I think he's called the stake president in Enumclaw. Like, kind of a high-level cult leader. I was just talking to this guy. I was cracking jokes, so we went to my partner's mom's funeral. And as we were like cleaning up and folding chairs, I was just making all these cracks. My family is Lutheran, and I was like, oh, well, that's not how the Lutherans do it. Or if this were a Lutheran funeral, we would blah, blah, blah. But this guy who's like the area president of the Mormon church kept overhearing me, and he was cracking up. So I just kind of kept saying it whenever he was within earshot, like, oh, that's not how Lutherans would fold those chairs. Like, and he started joining in, and then I just started like chit-chatting with this guy. And then later we went to the cemetery and did the burial, and like I ended up befriending this guy. And I remembered later, like, that's like the South Park episode. Like, they're so nice. They're so charismatic. But I don't know, like, that guy arguably was a cult leader. I just had to sort of think about it later. Like, wow, like I have a new hardcore Mormon elder friend, but it was a little insidious when I reflected on it later.
Well, he found the one person that wasn't a member of the church, and then he was like, oh, I bet I can.
Right. I think that's it. He turned it up. Yeah. Turned it up to 37. That's right. All right, Chris. So a little backstory. I met Chris online. I was talking to my buddy Uttam Mukherjee, who owns Spicewalla, and he was talking about construction issues in Ballard near his Spicewalla location, and talking about he put up a poll on Instagram that said, do you still go out to restaurants? If not, why? And so we were chatting about it, and in the comments, Chris and I were talking, and I didn't know who Chris was. And I asked Utam if he wanted to be on the show. And he said yes. And I was like, I realized Chris was from New. And I said, oh, you too. Like, and then I realized I'd only been to New for drinks. I'd never actually had the food. So Chris accepted graciously. And then I hurried up on Friday and scrambled out there to try the food. And we sat down and had a chat. And I have so many questions now after meeting you on Friday.
And I'm here to answer them.
Yeah. What's interesting to me, the first thing I want to start sort of at the beginning is that you had a career in animation before you even opened a restaurant. And I'm very interested to hear.
About 20 years.
For 20 years?
Yeah.
Before you opened the restaurant?
Before, yeah. So it started when I was in college. My degree is in archaeology.
Okay.
It's one of those things where I had to pick a degree at the time, and I was interested in, travel and artifacts and things. And the first rule of archaeology is you don't get to keep any of the shit you find. It's like, I knew right then, it's like, okay, maybe this isn't for me, because I like collecting things. That's what the restaurant is like, filled with things I picked up around the world. But I wanted to get my degree, so I could need that. But I also got a computer when I went to college, and I got really into computers, and I got into computer graphics. And this was really the beginning of computer graphics. And I befriended this guy this was up in Bellingham, a guy that worked at one of those little, strip mall computer places where you can buy a monitor and they can replace your hard drive. And befriended him, and one day he pulls me aside, and he said, hey, a guy just came down from Canada with his computer, and I took a copy of 3D Studio for DOS off of his hard drive. If you buy a Colorado tape backup system, it was like this $100 thing that could I think it was 50 megabytes or 150 megabytes on there. I'll give you a copy. So he gave me a copy of this thing, and I was hooked. It was a cracked copy of 3D Studio for DOS. And it would take me like 6 hours to render a cube and a sphere, but it had reflections, and it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen before. So I just really got into that. I dove in really deep, and I opened up my own graphic arts business up in Bellingham. This was 30 years ago. This was really the beginning of 3D. And I taught myself how to do it on that, and I opened a business doing it, and I had some good clients and some good contracts and whatnot, and ran that for about 8 years up there, and then moved down to Seattle and got a job at a game company, a video game company.
Okay.
And this was, again, the beginning of the 3D industry. This company had made all of their millions off of a Dilbert screensaver, and they realized that maybe there's not a future in continuing Dilbert screensaver. Maybe we should branch out.
Dilbert? Did you say Dilbert?
It was a Dilbert screensaver. Yes.
Oh my God.
And so this was their first 3D foray into 3D, and I got hired as their lead artist and I did like a Hot Wheels game, and I was hooked. And so from then on, I went to another small company down in Pioneer Square, and it was like only 8 guys, but we were doing things for Microsoft, for Sierra, for Vivendi Universal. We did a Lord of the Rings game for Xbox. And I really enjoyed doing that, but it was really a way for me. I'm an artist at heart, and it was a way for me that I could make money doing art. But I'd never even owned an Xbox during that time. I don't play games. I just liked being able to make money doing art.
Yeah.
But my passion all during that time was cooking. And I got really into the whole modernist thing, in the beginning, in the very first stages where you couldn't buy a sous vide thing even. You'd have to go to some old used medical laboratory equipment store and see if you could clean up this thing that had skin flakes and calcium deposits on it and use it for cooking. And I got really into that. I have a refrigerated centrifuge still down in my basement that I use and whatnot. God. And I met some friends during that time who were also into that. They were beginning. I don't know if you know Scott Heimedinger. He was the first guy to put a commercial sous vide thing for the home use on the market. It was the Sancerre. And so we would play around and do experimentation with food and all that kind of stuff. And so that was really my passion, but I still had to make money. So I continued doing the game thing for a while. And then I finally pulled out of that and decided to start my own business with my passion, which was food. But 3D animation was what I knew. So I started a company called Animation Kitchen, which was focused on doing animation for the food science industry. So I did a short video thing for modernist cuisine. But my big one was Culinary Institute of America. I did a series of 15 videos for them to use in their classroom that shows the science of cooking. So you would fly into a chicken breast that's being brined to see what's happening at the molecular level with the brine and the ions and the positive, negative charges and how it pulls it apart and the liquid coming in, which was really cool for me to do. And I really enjoyed it because I was learning a lot myself. But what it made me realize is that it wasn't video games that I was not into. It was sitting behind a computer. And so I was enjoying it for the subject matter more than games, but I still wasn't enjoying sitting behind the computer. So I took about 2 years off and just traveled. Travel has always been my passion. I've been doing it since I was in high school. Every year I'd save up and take a foreign trip somewhere on my own or with a friend of mine, and just to discover and explore. And so I took that time to almost regroup and figure out what I wanted to do. And at the end of it, I still hadn't figured it out. But at the end of it, I said, well, you know what? I'll just go back to Seattle and I'll open a restaurant, which was
okay.
not
all right.
I mean, honestly, it was more of a snap decision, but it was a snap decision based on following where my passions lied in the past. And my skill set, I know how to cook. I don't know how to cook commercially, so I knew that I had to hire an executive chef to do that.
Yeah,
because there's a vast difference between cooking in your home, even for 50 people, versus a restaurant. There's
100%. It's totally different.
There's very little to do about the cooking part. It's the running and the managing of the inventory and the way that you store things, and even the names of whatnot and the crew and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So that's how it came about.
Where did you go? Where did you travel to?
Well, this was over several periods of time. I did one trip was down to Argentina. I drove the length of the Argentinian length of the Ruta Corriente, which is the Route 40 that goes all the way from the south end all the way up to the north, and then traveling a little bit in between there. I did one where I flew in Montreal and then drove out to the far eastern seaboard of Canada, and then took the car on a ferry to Newfoundland, and then did a big thing around Newfoundland, and then back over to the mainland, and then down through New England, and then home. And then the other one, I leased it's cheaper when you go to Europe if you're going to go for more than 2 weeks to lease your car versus renting it. So I leased a brand new Renault and it's for like $100 more. They'll actually ship it to Frankfurt for you. And I picked it up. I had this for a little over 3 months, and I drove from Frankfurt all the way down through all the countries in Eastern Europe, all the way down to Thessaloniki, Greece, and then through Italy, up through Croatia, then Italy, and then down and finally making to Portugal, and then from Portugal all the way up to Netherlands. I have a lot of friends there. I lived in the Netherlands back in mid 80s.
Okay.
And flew out of Paris on it was like New Year's. On Christmas Eve in Paris, then I flew out on New Year's Eve, and then returned New Year's Day, and then the following day I started looking for restaurant spaces in Seattle.
No shit. That's hardcore. No. I'm so glad I asked you that. Was this all solo? Were you by yourself?
It was with my partner at the time.
Okay. I was going to say, that's a long trip to just go out and find the world. That's an amazing trip. What year are we talking? 2010s?
This was 12 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember what year it is right now.
I'm bad on that.
2014?
Sure.
Right. Got it. Cool. So you came back to Seattle, which you were living in Seattle when you left, right? Because you were working in Pioneer Square. Yeah. Came back to Seattle, and were you shopping in a specific neighborhood? Did you want to be on the hill? Did you know?
I always wanted to be on the hill. I didn't think I'd find a space that was going to meet my needs here. And the reason I say I wanted to be on the hill is I thought when I go out, where do I look to go out? And it's usually Capitol Hill at the time. And I'm glad it worked out that way, because I looked at locations in Ballard, I looked at places in Fremont, I looked at places in South Seattle. And fortunately, because this was during the time when Amazon was just moving in, everybody thought that Amazon was going to be the next hot spot for restaurants. And I looked at some spaces there, and I'm really glad, considering the turnover and vacancy rate there, that I didn't end up in that neighborhood. It's a tough market. But I ended up finding a place on the hill, which was a pretty small venue. I mean, we're not a big space, which is perfect for what I want.
It seems reasonably sized. So are you on 14th? Is that right?
14th between Pike and Pine, yeah.
Right. So you're right next to Ramey, which is right next to Spinoza and Artusi. Just for people who are trying to visualize it, they probably know where Artusi and Spinoza are. Yeah. And so I was telling someone about New and where I was going just geographically, and they didn't understand. And I said, oh, it's right next to Spinoza. And they said, oh, I never kept walking down that street. I would just stop at 14th and Pike and then go to Spinoza, but not continue. I guess that's south.
Yeah.
On 14th. And I'm like, well, you should. So how do you find that location on the hill compared? Because the hill has so many micro neighborhoods to it.
Yeah,
like micro
it was more like
districts.
the perfect. It was I was more of the size. I mean, the location was great at the time. There wasn't a whole lot of apartments around the area. It was a pretty dead neighborhood. They didn't even have metered parking on the street, which was perfect for opening up a restaurant because I'm parking there all the time trying to build the thing out. And it was more like it seemed like the best location versus size that I could find and a price that we could agree on. It was tough though. I mean, because I didn't have any experience in the industry. Trying to get someone to rent to me was like,
Right.
and I'm doing these dog and pony shows where I'm going down and I'm cooking food for them, and then talking to the board of directors of running this thing, and they
Wow.
didn't trust that I could pull it off and whatnot, and which was really weird to me. I mean, it's one of those bust and boom things. Like there was kind of a shortage of restaurants at that point, so they thought that they could just like require whatever they wanted of their potential tenant, and they would
Right.
jump through whatever hoops they requested. So
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that this is your first and only restaurant, right?
correct, yeah,
And you're 12 years in out of the gate. That's an amazing success story,
yeah.
really. Like
No, we
statistically.
had a really fortunate, like our first couple of years, we were getting a lot of. I think it was the concept itself was unique enough that the story almost wrote itself, and on two levels. On in the beginning, because I remember I reached out to all of like the editors of magazines, Seattle Magazine, Seattle Met, and Seattle Times, and Stranger, and all this type of thing, and they all wanted to write an article about me, and they all thought it was a really cool concept. And I had these interviews with them, and they were so excited for me. And I didn't find out until later, like a year later, after we had done well and succeeded. And by that point, we're on the Food Network and the Travel Channel, and all of the New York Magazine did a thing about us, and they all told me, candidly, like, we all thought you were going to fail. We're really glad. We're really glad that you
Wow.
made it, but we really didn't think the concept would work because it's not like, how do you quantify that? It's not French. It's not Italian. It's not
Right.
American. Like, how do you? And I was wondering that myself. And I didn't necessarily even want to be known as like street food. This was before street food was a buzzword. It was kind of in the
Right.
beginning of it. But what we're doing is based on that idea of street food, but it's not all street food. It's not all just little things that you would pick up at a vendor's stall. So
Right.
it's more international cuisine, but it's hard to articulate that. But when you say street food, people understand exactly what
People
you're.
get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. When you say street food, they think of like a night market in Bangkok or
yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. And that's sort of the vibe that New has. So, just in short, for anyone who hasn't been to New, can you explain your menu? It's dishes that you had while traveling. Yeah,
It's
essentially.
partially that, but really what it's about the dishes that are ubiquitous in their country of origin, but they're rarely found outside of the borders.
Right.
And there's different reasons for that. Like, for example, not anymore, but let's say even 10 years ago, Indian food. If you went to an Indian restaurant, you're basically going to be getting Indian food from one part of India. You're not going to get things from Coorg. You're not going to get things from Kerala. You're going to get things from that one part because those are the immigrants that came up from that part of India that opened up the restaurants. That's what Americans expected. So our idea was to take these dishes that are they're not unapproachable. They're not here because nobody wants to eat them. They're not in America because nobody brought them over, and try to introduce people to these different flavors and that these profiles are so diverse. And we don't. When you say Indian food, that's like saying American food is all fried chicken and Southern gumbo, and that's not
Right.
American. That is an American food, but it's not American food.
Right. It's not a monolith because there's so many different regions. That reminds me of something you said earlier when we were talking about balut, and you were. Do you want to tell that story? Someone came in and wanted you to basically exoticize
Yeah. So
balut.
yeah,
Yeah.
when we first and I it's kind of a tough situation because we're not evangelizing. We're not trying to educate people. We're not trying. I'm not preaching any like you need to eat
Platform.
what I
Yeah.
eat and whatnot.
Yeah.
But we'd like to offer things that might not be available that you could be interested about. So we had balut on the menu because I love eating balut, and so do millions and millions of other people every day who eat
Yeah.
balut. And
Can
so
you tell everyone what balut is?
yeah, so
If they don't
balut
know.
is the fertilized duck egg. So it's a duck that's going to be growing inside of the egg. So and there's different forms of development in there. The ones that you're getting in Philippines are typically the least developed, and then there's other countries like Vietnam, much more developed, much more feathers and beak, and you can't even really. I don't think there's a commercial producer of the Vietnamese, of which they call them haute vite long in the U.S. that I've found. They're kind of, people kind of shy away from them. But the other balut, like if you pulled the whole thing apart, you could like dissect it and say, oh, I can see how this thing is growing. But it's like it's hard to describe. It's a very rich, hard-boiled egg. It's very yolky. It's very very umami and whatnot. And so we wanted to put that on our menu, and we had it on our menu. It was quite popular. The only reason we don't have it on our menu now is the prices have gone up so high at the wholesale level, even, that I can't charge. Right, I could, but I don't want to charge $13 for a single egg. So we took it off the menu. But we had people saying, "Oh, you should have like this I ate the balut T-shirt." That like, it's like it's a challenge, and that's
right, because it's crazy. It's so weird to them.
It's the antithesis of what we're trying to do. We're trying to normalize this, or I'm not trying to normalize it. I'm not. You can take away whatever you want to from the food that we have on our menu. We're not trying to shock people with it, and we're certainly not trying. I'm not preaching anything about food or what you need to feel about it. I just want to present this, and then you can take your own assertions away with it.
I liked what you said earlier. You're like, this is just a normal food in many countries that people eat every single day. It's not a crazy, wacky thing that you need a T-shirt about. You know, it's just, we're just presenting it to you. We're offering it, but not exoticizing it. So I thought that's an important point. Because it's easy to look at your menu and be like, wow, this rice wine has a scorpion in it. That's bizarre foods. But I like that take. You're just giving people an option.
And very few things on our menu are like that. A lot of it is just approachable, but they might be in a different format. For example, the South African bunny chow has no bunny in it, never had bunny in it. It's a chicken masala, and it has like this really cool and rich history on why it's called that, when it came over to South Africa, and it's a chicken curry in a bread bowl, which seems like Americans love everything in a bread bowl, and then you're putting this rich chicken curry in a bread bowl, and there's no bunny in it, and the history, just real short, is was during apartheid. This is from Durban, South Africa. We were building the railroad there, and there were these Indian immigrants that came over to help build the railroad. And because of apartheid, they couldn't go to restaurants. They couldn't go to grocery stores. They were very limited. So there was a caste of Indians that opened up these little windows in the wall where they could pick up their food and take it with them. And in order to do that, they had to have a container to put it in. So they ended up hollowing out the bread bowl, which is a South African thing, and putting the masala curry inside of it. And the caste of Indians that was doing this was the Banya caste. And then over time, Banya became bunny. And so it was bunny chow. And then there's a vegetarian version, which is made with the lentils, and that's just called beans and bunny.
Okay. That was the first dish that I noticed on your menu the first time I went to just have drinks. I was like, wow, I've heard of this dish. I don't really know what it is, but like it stood out to me. So that was the first one that got me thinking. What else do I have on this little list here? Do you still do the Thai water beetles?
We do. We have on our menu.
I'm curious about those.
Those I had, this was my first trip to Southeast Asia. This must have been when I was in my 22 years old and whatnot. And I ate these things. And I remember saying to myself, if I ever opened a restaurant, I would put these on the menu. It's not, again, they are insects, and they're big, and they look really cool. Yeah. But they have flavor. You know, like you can buy crickets at Lumen Field. Yeah. But crickets are really the vehicle for whatever spice you put on them. They don't really have much flavor in it.
They're just crispy. Yeah.
These are incredibly intense floral. They taste like a Jolly Rancher. They have like an artificial flavor to them.
Really? Wow.
And it's so that they're used in not just Thailand. Thailand is most known for them, but they're also Laos and Vietnam, northern Vietnam. They're prized over there. They're incredibly expensive over there as well. And so how they're eaten typically in Thailand is they extract that pheromone from them. You're only eating the male insects. It's only the male. It's a pheromone that they produce to attract the mate, and it's incredibly floral and intense. And it's used in the nam priks, which are the curries in like northeastern Thailand, and then you'll find them in Laos, Vietnam. They're called kakun, and they're used there in different ways. They don't really extract them. They eat them in other dishes with like some pastes and sauces. And you can't get this flavor anywhere else. But like I said, they're even expensive over there. So a lot of houses they make an artificial extract that they use, like how we can buy fake vanilla, because most homes can't afford the actual insect, and they're becoming quite rare over there. They're particularly in the north of Vietnam, you're not even allowed to capture them anymore because the farmers have started using pesticides in their rice fields and whatnot, and so they're becoming endangered. I just read an article a couple of years ago. There was a guy down in the south who had figured out how to farm these things. And so he's doing outside of Ho Chi Minh City. He has like these large aquatic farms where he's building them, but they're selling for like $6 a bug in Vietnam.
Jeez,
which
that's
is
a lot.
It's pretty expensive.
That's a lot. So you are the owner and you're the chef patron, but you have an executive chef, Brad Kostelik, is he also conceptualizing menus and coming up with dishes?
Oh yeah. The first couple of years it was all my stuff, but he's taken over a lot of that now, and he's developed his repertoire of world food and cuisine. We've traveled together several times internationally. We did a whole trip around the Balkans, road trip down there. We did a 2-week trip around Taiwan, a road trip there and whatnot. And he's pretty much taken over the menu. You know, I'll give him like ideas of like, hey, let's try this or let's do that. But he's kind of running the show.
And he runs with it. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Jeff, do you have any?
I do have questions, actually. I was really interested in, and you kind of just addressed an interesting part of it, because you own one restaurant. You've been a restaurateur in Seattle for 12 years, is what you said.
Yeah.
And I guess I just want to generally ask, like, why? Why do you only own one restaurant? Is there, like, an ideological reason? Has it just kind of never been, like, a priority or has it never come up as, like, a good idea to be like, oh, this would be a specific reason why we're going to open this second restaurant? I kind of just want to leave it open.
Yeah, that's a good question. We actually looked into it several times. There was a few years ago, the airport was interested in getting us out in the airport. We looked into that. We looked into the east side when Totem Lake Village was open. They wanted us to be one of the anchor tenants there. And I think I could have done it. I couldn't have done this restaurant. I could have done a version of this restaurant, like we're just doing 8 different chicken wings from around the world. But this restaurant that I have right now is so time intensive of me sourcing the ingredients, shopping. I can't, it's unlike let's say you open a burger joint and you just have everything delivered to you. I can't do that for several reasons. For a lot of it is the herbs and the ingredients that I'm sourcing. I can't get locally. I'm getting these shipped in from farms down in Florida to Arizona, and sometimes internationally. I'm having things brought over here.
So to kind of reframe what you're saying, because you only have this one restaurant, you are able to work in a lot of different ways to make sure the quality of that one restaurant remains as high as it does.
Correct. And not just the quality, just I couldn't do this twice. Like the amount of hours that go into hunting these things down.
Well, you'd have to start paying somebody else to do it too, you know, because then you would be the overseer of a number of people who are your people who are sourcing all these ingredients. But now
correct. And my belief is that opening a second restaurant it doubles your worries and it doubles your risk, but it doesn't double your profit. It just creates more risk for me. And I think until you get over 6 stores, you're not seeing any payback. And plus, I don't know. I like keeping it small, and I would consider expanding possibly in the future, but I'm not chomping at the bit to do it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's not really what was the point of opening a restaurant in the first place, right?
Yeah. Like I said, this one has allowed me to still have my creative life outside of it. Like if I spread any thinner, I think that my contribution to this restaurant would have to diminish, because now I'm bringing it to 2 places and driving, let's say, over to Bellevue to take care of that one, and it just wouldn't be worth it for me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking because it's in kind of stark contrast to a restaurant group that I've unfortunately had to become very familiar with over the past couple of years. I'm in union leadership at Sea Creatures Union. We're called United Creatures of the Sea, and we represent restaurant employees that work for Renee Erickson. And I'm just hearing a lot of stuff that you're saying that's in kind of direct contrast with like what their ideology is, or like what they at least are trying to tell us about their ideology, because they've expanded relentlessly, and they kind of talk about things like, I think I even wrote down like a quote that reminded me. It says, "You have to open new restaurants because that's how you stay relevant." Like that's what I've heard from the people that run Sea Creatures, is that nobody wants to go to Walrus and the Carpenter anymore because it's not exciting anymore. Or like nobody wants to go to like, we have to open up Lioness, and then we have to open up places downtown because that keeps our name in the news. And it's like, you're kind of just out here like putting out a good product for 12 years consistently, and people continue to be excited because you continue to put the work in. So I mean, I don't want to start spewing all the things I think about it, but I would like to point out that I'm inclined to have a ton of respect for the decisions you've made to maintain like the quality of like a small place and let the community provide for you continually, instead of saying like, these people that I serve don't actually know what good things are, so I can just create the quality of this and then go get another market with all the money I've made from this one.
And I think there's a little bit of the little bit of truth that is in there is that you do need to keep reinventing. But that doesn't mean opening a new place. You need to keep reinventing yourself, and you need to keep looking at the landscape and understanding what people want. For example, like during COVID, everybody talks about how difficult COVID was. I think it was difficult for different reasons. It was more about anticipating how people's needs and wants changed during COVID. And so in COVID, we took anything people wanted comfort during COVID. So we took everything off our menu that could be considered not comfort. So the water beetles came off the menu. Nobody wants to be adventurous and try an Asian water beetle, during COVID. And
that's when the water beetles came off the menu.
And so
sounds
we went
like
to
a euphemism.
Curries and comfort foods from around the world. And we had to reinvent ourselves doing that. And right now we're having to reinvent ourselves every couple of weeks. In COVID, it was a lot easier to do that. People were much more forgiving for your reinvention. It didn't seem like you were like, people wanted to support you no matter what. They wanted, like for us, we were so taken aback by how awesome Seattle was. Like, here's a small restaurant. They wanted to be there when COVID ended. So they would just like buy a gift card and say, don't send it to me. We just want you here when we get through this thing. And so we're reinventing ourselves now, kind of with the idea of giving back, because we know people in Seattle, including restaurants, but the people are suffering right now. Like, they're not going out as much as they wanted to. Does that mean they're not going out because they don't want to go out? No, they're not going out because they don't know what the heck's going to happen with the economy, what's going to happen with their jobs, or whatever. Like, nobody's really figured out what's happening here. But what we're trying to do is still be a gathering place or a community place for Seattle, because they still do want to go out. So we're trying to leverage that and then give people what we think they want. We don't know if we figured out, like, we want to give them cheaper things. So we're trying to do happy hour type stuff all the time. We just, a couple weeks ago, I decided that this was a idea that I had when I first opened the restaurant. I wanted to be like these Toshkas in Portugal that I've went to, where you go in middle of the day, you can get a glass of wine for like a couple bucks. And we tried that in the beginning, and then we realized how much it cost to run a restaurant, and we realized we couldn't make that work. And so we did what everybody else does, and now a glass of house wine was $13 and whatnot. But a couple weeks ago, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to try and I can't keep raising prices in this climate, this economic climate in Seattle. So I'm going to reduce price on things and hopefully make people happy. And so now our house wine is $7, 24/7. Like all the time we're open, it's $7. And
wow.
we do like these specials Sunday and Monday. You can get a fried chicken dinner for 2 people. It's 12 pieces of chicken and a bottle of wine or 4 beers for a total of $35. So it's like dinner and drinks on Capitol Hill for under $20 a person.
Wow.
And we don't add service charges, and we don't have anything. We're not charging if you use a credit card. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to make myself sound like a nice guy. I'm saying that because one of the way that I think that we can survive is by giving back to the city of Seattle the way they did to us during COVID, so that when we do get through whatever this is we're going through, they're still here, just the way they wanted us to still be there when we got through COVID. And so we're kind of playing around with that.
I don't think you're doing any of this because you're a nice guy. I think you're doing it for a lot of reasons, and I think one of them is that it's because hospitality seems like something that's been ingrained in you in some way, in like a real part of your life. Because what you're talking about is what other people in your community want. You're talking about anticipating their needs. You know, like we had somebody on a couple weeks ago that's like a really experienced front of the house worker, and we always were talking about, you know, our job is anticipating what people might want before they want it. And I think that at its root, I think so is owning a restaurant or owning multiple restaurants. I think the idea of like knowing that you exist because people around you want to utilize the product or the space that you've created, and you're remaining curious and true to yourself is also another way of saying like you're reinventing yourself. I think that seems like maybe you're forced to reinvent yourself, but I think also like you're a curious enough person that it sounds like you really enjoy reinventing yourself. You know, like it sounds like you probably couldn't just serve the same thing for years and years without being bored of it.
Correct. And that honestly, I have to say, I did not enjoy COVID, but that was the one positive aspect of COVID. You could wake up one morning, try something completely new, people are going to love it, and the next morning change it and try something. Like you could keep reiterating yourself, and people were very understanding of that. It wasn't that because you're floundering. Some of them work. You're just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Right.
You know? And it's kind of a fun way to do things. And that's difficult to do if you own 9 restaurants or 20 restaurants, whatever. But if you're a small, nimble, you can pivot on a dime, you can really make some cool stuff happen.
Well, I think when you're small and nimble versus being a big restaurant group, because when you're a big restaurant group, the focus has to shift from what do our guests need to keep this restaurant being what it is to what do we need to keep this restaurant group going as like a machine that opens and maintains restaurants. And I think that's kind of like why I'm in the situation that I'm in, is because I was employed at a restaurant group that decided like they almost feel like they're too big to fail. It's like a bank where it's like, oh, well, like the rules don't really need to apply to us because like if all of our restaurants go out of business, then this whole city is going to be screwed. You know, if Renee Erickson's 6 restaurants that people go to are going to go out of business, then all of a sudden like nobody's going to have anywhere to eat in Seattle, and our culture is going to be like void, you know. And it's just not true. It's like if any of those places closed, another place would open right back up. And I don't know, you kind of talked about earlier how it was interesting that a place didn't want to rent to you at first because you were a first-time restaurant owner. And I think that's also a really interesting thing to point out too, that like, you know, when the Railspur project opened downtown, it's like it was obvious that they were going to go with somebody who's established. You know, they weren't going to pick anybody to run the bottom of those buildings in Pioneer Square that didn't already have the stability of like a ton of restaurants. So I guess there's just different way to do things. But I guess I'm really, all the things you're saying, I'm just preferring the way you're doing things. So thanks for doing thanks for doing the things the way you're doing them.
Thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
I'm still stuck on 12 pieces of fried chicken and 2 drinks a piece for $35. That's a lot of chicken. What do you do to it? How is it like global chicken?
No, we offer our Chengdu sauce, which is so our Chengdu wings, our Tower Chengdu wings, is probably the most popular dish that we've had on the menu, and it's strange because we don't do fusion. We do the dishes that we find in the country of origin where we had it. But this is one dish that isn't exactly, I wouldn't call it a Chengdu specialty. It was a place that I ate at in Chengdu because the reason I said it uses the green Sichuan peppercorn for that numbing effect, but it has fish sauce in it, which is not a Chengdu thing to put in there. So it's more of a fusion thing, but it's not a fusion thing that we did. It's a fusion thing that I did at a place in Chengdu that I had.
Got it.
I at least had it traveling, but we didn't just make it up.
It's Chengdu affiliated.
So you have a choice between that and we also do a Hungarian paprikash version, which is like the paprika and sour cream, and it's smoky, and then has fried onions on top.
I don't understand why I haven't been going to this restaurant for 12 years.
Same. I'm like literally going to go there this week.
A child who dreamt of crushing everyone on where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, like collected maps and I knew all my world and state capitals. Like, this is my shit. So, do you have any other questions, Jeff?
No, I don't think so. I mean, no. I think.
Oh, do you want to talk about the brunch program? Do you have a new brunch program?
No, we've always had a brunch program, and our brunch program is quite popular. We have a lot of dishes from our dinner menu on the brunch as well, but we like our bunny chow we do with a fried egg on top, and we call it sunny bunny. We also have like a shakshuka. We have our French tacos on there, which we have on the dinner menu as well. I'm trying to think of the other specific brunch. We have like 2 other. I'd have to look at my phone to figure it out. I forget what's on our menu sometimes.
It's okay.
We have bottomless mimosas.
Oh, yeah? No shit.
Yeah.
This is the spot. The French tacos I want to talk about on what I ate this week. Should we just jump to that? Unless you have more, Jeff?
No, let's talk about what we ate.
I ate a French tacos. Tacos is the singular at New on Friday, and it blew my fucking mind. So there's the French taco. Do you know what this is, Jeff?
No, I'm listening.
A French tacos is a snack that people eat in central France that was born of North African immigrants, and it's essentially what we would call a burrito. It's a tortilla stuffed with meat and cheese and grilled with various other items. There are many variations on it. Now, there's a place in one of those ghost kitchens called Brick and Cheese that make them, and they make a million different varieties of them, and I had that one. And it's a brick. It's literally a brick. It's shaped like a brick. It's a lot of starch and cheese and grease, and it's delicious, but it's heavy. So, I tried it, and I was like, that's fine. But the one that I had at your spot blew me away. I don't know, is this your version or Brad's?
This
Who's
is
responsible?
my version.
This is you.
My version of what goes in it, and then he executed it.
Okay.
So
Can
what
you
I
tell
want
us?
so the
Yeah,
biggest chain that you'll find all throughout Europe, they have them in Germany now. There was actually one in New York. It's called Otaco, and it's one where you go in there and you pick, these are the 2 proteins. This is the inside, and they'll fill the thing up with you and grill it. But none of them really talk to the origin of this dish, which is the North African immigrants that came over to France and combined these 2 different cultures in the food thing. And they're all things like, fried chicken, and then you'll do like, they always have French fries in them, which is fine. And then different sauces and this and the other thing. But none of them really speak to that North African flavoring. So my idea was like, what if we made our own, which is completely fine to do because it's a fusion dish and you can take it any direction that you want. So I wanted to really get that North African flavor to it. So we're doing the merguez sausage. We're doing the French fries, of course. And we're doing the ras al hanout, which is the North African spice. Then we're doing a carrot and raisin slaw, which is a very Moroccan thing. It has some lemon, preserved lemon in there. Then we're doing the Algerian sauce, and then we're doing a bechamel, which is a Swiss bechamel cheese sauce, which is the French roots on it. And then we roll that up, and then that's grilled together like that. So when you're eating it, it doesn't taste like fast food. It tastes almost like an elevated food, but it still stays true to the origin of what you would actually make in France.
It was like a casserole in a burrito. It's not a taco at all, despite the name.
Yeah.
It went crazy, especially the bechamel, which is almost like a raclette. Like, it was bechamel, but it was so thick and cheesy and beautiful, and all the ras al hanout and the raisins, and I don't know what's in the Algerian sauce. It seemed like harissa adjacent, perhaps. Amazing. Like, I put it down on one of my ongoing list of best things I ate all year. Like, killer. Fantastic. But I feel like people in Seattle who don't know about the French tacos need to know about yours, because there's a whole restaurant devoted to these, but yours is so good. Like, it's
thank you.
It's really, I don't want to say elevated, but literally it is elevated. It is higher.
I mean, we were the first in Seattle to have them. I do know that.
Yeah, you did say that. You were the first.
We had these on
you called it
5 years
now.
So.
Yeah. The other thing I ate this week, as we were cleaning out my mother-in-law's house in Enumclaw, we were exhausted, and on the last day we stopped in Puyallup, and my partner was like, is there anything to eat in Puyallup? And I said, funny thing, you should say that. I remembered seeing a post that someone had bought a cocktail bar. There were new owners of a cocktail bar somewhere in Puyallup, and we were like, lol, Puyallup has a cocktail bar? Haha. I thought it was just farmland. And I remember seeing that it looked pretty. So we went and checked out Perry's Cocktail Bar on North Meridian in downtown Puyallup. And we could have been in San Francisco or Chicago. It was gorgeous, beautiful. The cocktails were fantastic. We got like a bistro burger. I got a burrata with delicata squash that was incredible. Stephen got this cocktail that had pork belly fat, washed rum. It was overproof rum. and serrano and lime and pineapple. It kind of tasted like a taco. It was amazing. Beautiful cocktails. And the space was gorgeous too. So we want to go back, actually. I didn't know that Puyallup had such beautiful restaurants. They had a lamb chop. They had a pork chop. I was really surprised. So awesome. Perry's Cocktail Bar. Those are the two things I ate this week. What about you, Jeff?
Well, I'll talk about the time I had in Snoqualmie, basically, because we had a couple good meals. I went to Tweed's this morning, the Double R Diner, which is always
From Twin
nice.
Peaks.
And then the night before, we went to this Italian place that Dusty found that was in Snoqualmie, because I love the Italian places that have like the plastic over the top of the tablecloth, you know, and it like they have like booths for two people, and it's like the service is like really, really good, and it's just like a small family place, and I love finding like little gems like that, and it's like not even really about the food for me, because I know it's just gonna be like pretty decent Italian food, which it absolutely was, and it was like really reasonably priced. The portions were massive. I had a lamb shank in a pomodoro masala sauce, so it was like a really rich sauce, and it was like over gnocchi, which was like, okay, it just keeps the hits keep on coming right now. So it was like lamb shank on a pile of gnocchi with this like really dark red sauce just like all over it. I could pull the bones like right out of the lamb shank. It was really good. And then it had these steamed veggies on the side that were like perfectly steamed. It felt like it was like, here, make sure you have your veggies tonight, honey. You know, it was like all the meals were like well-rounded, like for you. You know what I mean? It's like it didn't make any culinary sense to have like summer squash and zucchini and broccoli and carrots like on the side of that were just like steamed. Yeah. But it made sense for my body to have that, because otherwise I was just ingesting like half of the lasagna that Dusty ordered, and then like way too much of the beef shank and gnocchi. I keep saying a different thing. It was.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was. I want to say it was a lamb shank. I think it was a lamb shank.
I believe that.
But it was really, really good. There was like a lemon ricotta cheesecake involved afterwards, which once again was like, the actual cheesecake must have been like 2 feet wide, because like the piece was like a big piece. And then the same thing at Tweed's at the Double R. It was like, you know, you get one pancake and it's the size of like a frisbee. It's like bigger than a frisbee.
Yeah.
So they're trying to raise some big boys out there, and like I appreciate it, because I like to eat till I'm full sometimes. So like man. I love when they give you a lot of food sometimes. I know that might be stupid to say for a food podcast, but it kind of speaks to like what I was talking about earlier. It's like they're just trying to take care of their people. You know, like anybody who goes in there, and the place was full of people on a Sunday night that were like all on date night, and you could tell they were going like, they probably go there every other week for date night, because why wouldn't you? Like everybody there is so happy to have you there, and like they're treating you so well. The server mentioned that her uncle was the one that was making all the food, so I'm not sure if that just means that he like did open the place and all the recipes are his, or if he was actually like physically back there still. But either way, like the food tasted like it. Like it was just, you know, it was made with love, and I just love places like that. So
I just wrote down, I love it when they give you a lot of food. I just feel like that's a good mantra in general. And I should add quickly that the French tacos was the size of my laptop. It was enormous. I was perfectly full. I'm a big guy. It was perfect. I was perfectly full after half of it. Like, I love it when they give you a lot of food.
Well, it's a big deal coming from Seattle, because I mean, I'm not trying to say that like all of the portions everywhere are small, but like just typically like stuff is expensive here, and like you're not overwhelmed by the quantity of something when you get served a plate. You know, like you're happy when it's like, it seems like fair. You're like, okay, that I understand that I paid for that, and I accept it. But then when you're here, your first thought is like, oh my God, my body can't ingest all of this, and then you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I only paid like $22 for this or something, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So a little culture shock, but you know, I love it out there.
Is that everything?
Yeah, I can't remember anything past the last 48 hours, since there was
that
you know,
sounds
a lot
like
going on.
Plenty. Like,
yeah.
I don't mean to be greedy. It sounds,
It was enough food for a week. Like, we literally have more in our fridge, because we were embarrassed to not even be able to eat all of it, but you can't win them all.
You cannot win them all. How about you, Chris? What'd you eat this week or recently?
Cook mostly at home, but I've been here before. It's in Olympia called Streets of Singapore. It's
I don't know that place.
Little Singaporean restaurant downtown Olympia, and they do such an outstanding. So they're immigrants from Singapore. They're making all of their own sambals. They're doing everything in house themselves, and it's not a sit down restaurant. It's interesting. They have an area for you to sit, but I think they have to call themselves to go because they don't have a bathroom. And I think it's some legal thing. That's my guess on it. But there are like 6 chairs there you can sit, and they're doing it. You can even see them cooking in the back. They're doing everything from scratch, and we ordered almost the entire menu, and everything was like spot on. I've spent quite a bit of time in Singapore, and they nailed it. And but what I mean by nailing it is like they nailed the spice level, the flavors, the choice of dishes they had there. And the owners are a really cool dude. He came out and talked to us when we first came in there. There was only one person behind the counter. It was a 12-year-old boy, and he took our order. he was just the funniest kid, like very, like really wanted to talk and joking and this kind of stuff. And he was their son that he had the day off from school, and he was
cute
helping out at the restaurant, which is cool.
Great, that sounds great. Olympia has great food, and I feel like no one ever talks about it.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, I was at a place called Chicory recently that I thought was amazing, and it was like, roasted carrots on whipped feta and that kind of stuff, but it was lovely. Did you go anywhere else? Or is that it?
Nah, a friend's house for dinner, but I don't think anybody can just go there and stop by.
You're not going to leave a scathing review about that one.
We're not going to send our listeners there. I also, before we go, I wanted to talk about... I just wanted to say, like, not all of your food is unusual and exotic at New. And an example was I got the world butter plate when I was there, which I thought was adorable. It was a plate of 4 different kinds of butter. And there was one from Ethiopia and one from Italy and one from India, and I don't remember the other one.
France.
And France. And as a Dutch American, I love to eat a big plate of butter. And I was very charmed by that. Like, I thought that was a lovely little appetizer, like different butters for the delicate, butter-loving palate.
My favorite, and this comes from I spent a year and a half living in Netherlands back in high school. Yeah. And the war chips, the Dutch war chips.
Yes. Man.
I love
curry
those
sauce.
Things. And it harkens back to the whole Dutch colonization of Indonesia, and they brought a lot of things back. So it's French fries topped with peanut satay, sambal, red onions, and aioli, and just smothered in there. And they're called war chips or patat oorlog because they're messy. And war is messy.
War is messy. Do you guys serve those?
Yeah, we have those all the time.
You have them on the menu. No shit. All right, I'm coming back this weekend.
I'm coming back too. Do you want to go together?
Yeah,
I
let's
feel like
go.
We've never eaten anywhere together. Actually,
I know we haven't.
We should do that.
We've eaten at Cardoon, but that was like coffee and pastry. Yeah, no, let's do that. I also want to try that Syrian carrot and kale salad. There's lots of things I want to try, but and I want to try that mocktail that has cumin in it with the tamarind and the mint. That sounds boss as well.
The Imli.
Cool. The Imli. I think we can call it.
Cool.
Yeah,
anything else?
I love a concise episode.
Yeah.
I feel like Chris, you were so good at just answering. You just were talking, and you were like, "Oh, I had that question," but then you answered it. So you're good at this.
You're ready. You're professional.
Thanks. Well, cool. I really appreciate you guys doing this. It's restaurants could use any plugs they can get these days.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a platform for us to talk about restaurants we like and also like restaurateurs who have interesting stories. That's what I want to hear. I'm just curious about people, obviously. And you're a very interesting person. I love the animation background story, especially. Next week we got Mark DeJoy, your friend and mine, and we are going to talk about news for once in my life. Mark's really good at it, so we'll round that up for you. Thanks again, Chris.
All right,
I'll see you in real life so I can eat some more chips.
All right, cheers, guys.